So, for everyone at Abide UMC, right here in Panama City, the mission is so beautiful and simple, right? It's all about helping people find their way into the family of God. But how do you actually turn that big vision into a daily reality? I mean, it can feel overwhelming. That's why right now we're going to walk through a clear, practical, and honestly an encouraging roadmap for how to do just that. Let's start with this idea that kind of flips the script on how we usually think about church. This consultant, Gil Rendell, he says, what if the church isn't some institution we're meant to protect and polish for ourselves? What if it's actually an instrument that God wants to use for others? Just that one little shift from object to instrument, it changes everything. It moves the focus off of our own comfort and squarely onto God's mission out in the world. And really, that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? We all have good intentions. We want to see lives transformed here in Panama City. Of course we do. But how do we get from that genuine desire to seeing real, actual change? How do we close that gap between what we hope for and what's really happening? So, our roadmap today has 4 really essential stops. First, we're going to start with the soul of leadership. Then we'll dive into what it means to become an adoptive family. From there, we'll focus in on a really powerful mission. And finally, this one's huge. We're going to tackle the hidden barriers that can keep us stuck. First up, strengthening the soul of leadership. You see, any mission that's going to last for the long haul has to be built on a healthy foundation. And that starts with leadership. It's not just about what leaders do, it's all about who they are. An author named Bruce Haley Barton absolutely nails this. She makes the case that a leader's effectiveness in public flows directly from their spiritual health in private. If that inner connection with God isn't being nurtured, then the mission, well, it just becomes another exhausting job. And you know what? This is not a new problem, not by a long shot. This is Jethro's warning to his son-in-law Moses, literally thousands of years ago. Moses was trying to do it all himself, and he was headed straight for a total burnout. It's this ancient piece of wisdom that reminds us that ministry just isn't sustainable when it's all on our own shoulders. So this really lays out the 2 paths, the 2 choices every leader has. Are you a doer, where success is all about activity, resources, and numbers? Or are you a disciple, where success is about listening for God's direction and living within your God-given limits? The first path, well, it pretty much always leads to burnout. The second one, that leads to a mission that can actually last and bear fruit. So here's the big takeaway for this first part. Just imagine for a second, what if in every single meeting at Abide, from the finance committee to the outreach team, the main question wasn't just, what's the most efficient plan? But instead it was, what does love call us to do right here, right now? That one simple shift can ground every single decision in its true purpose. Okay, so healthy leadership is the foundation, but that foundation is there to support a healthy community. So now let's talk about the us, the church family that's going to carry this whole mission out together. I want you to really chew on this idea of an adoptive community. It's a church that acts less like an organization you join and more like a real family you belong to. A place where you don't have to be perfect or have it all together, because your belonging is based on this shared identity as children of God, adopted into his family. So what does that actually look like, day in and day out? Well, it means we get real with each other. We drop the masks. It means we create a space where it's actually safe to ask the hard questions and not have all the answers. It's a community built on grace where we remember our bond with each other is always and only because of Jesus. All right, so when you have a healthy soul in your leadership and you're building the culture of an adoptive family, then a church is ready to really look outward. This is the mission, the them. And a really powerful way to live this out is by caring for the most vulnerable people right in our community. Look, when you're trying to help kids who come from really tough situations, good intentions are great, but they're not enough. We need proven tools. And one of the most powerful out there is called TBRI, or Trust-Based Relational Intervention. Don't let the name intimidate you. Think of it as a complete framework for helping kids heal from trauma. So TBRI is built on 3 core ideas, and the order here is so important. First, you have empowering. This is all about meeting a child's basic physical needs, making them feel safe. Once they feel safe, then you can move to connecting. That's all about building trust and attachment. And only after that foundation is set can you move to correcting, which is teaching new skills without ever breaking that bond of trust. And this is why this matters so much for a church like Abide. Just think about this quote from Josh Shipp. Every kid is one caring adult away from being a success story. What if Abide became known as a church just full of those one caring adults for the kids right here in our own backyard? So we've got the vision, right? Healthy leaders, an adoptive community, a clear mission. It all sounds amazing, but there's often this huge invisible wall that we all run into that holds us back. So let's talk about the how. How do we actually get there? Have you ever wondered this? Seriously, does this sound familiar? You set a goal, everyone agrees it's a fantastic idea, the energy is high, and then a year goes by, and nothing's really different. Why does that happen over and over again? Okay, let's use a really common goal for a church. The stated commitment is awesome. It's inspiring. It's something everyone can get behind. We will become a radically welcoming and missional church. Great! But here's the twist. Researchers found that underneath our great goals, there's often this powerful, hidden commitment that's secretly running the show. And for a lot of churches, it's this. But we will do absolutely nothing that makes our current members feel uncomfortable. See how that unspoken rule can completely sabotage the whole mission? And this conflict, it creates what they call an immunity to change. It's like you're driving with one foot slammed on the gas and the other foot slammed on the brake. You're burning a lot of fuel, but you're not going anywhere. The system is perfectly designed to keep us exactly where we are, protecting us from the fear of discomfort, even if it keeps us from our dreams. So how in the world do you break free from that? Well, the process is actually pretty simple, but man, it takes real courage. First, you just have to name that hidden commitment out loud. Second, you have to challenge the big assumptions behind it. The fear that says, if people get uncomfortable, they'll leave. And third, you test those assumptions by running small, safe experiments. This isn't about blowing everything up overnight. It's about taking small, intentional steps forward. So, that's the path. It starts with the leader's soul, it builds out into the community's heart, and it reaches into the world with a clear mission, all while having the courage to face the things that hold us back. So the final question for everyone at Abide is a simple one. Years from now, when people in Panama City look at this church, what story will your life together tell?